A solid name on every list of worst ever sitcoms, Dream Stuffing is a mostly forgotten Channel 4 effort, whose only notable trivia is a theme tune, London Girls, composed and performed by Kirsty MacColl. Is there anything more 1980s than drawing on the screen with day-glow squiggles? Everything about this show is so achingly of its time. Just the look of our leads incites a real Proustian rush, wrenching me back to Stock Aitken and Waterman, Whackaday at half-term, and the smell of the blue hair gel I began slavering on my head in junior school because I thought it made me look cool. Even the synopsis sounds like a parody of a sitcom pitch from that period. Two friends share a flat with a three-legged cat named Tripod. One works in a glass eye factory, while the other's on the dole. To be clear, that's the actual setting. I'm starting with the first episode, from January the 6th, 1984. So it's an odd couple thing, yeah? Moe's sensible and political, while Jude's the flighty one, who's first heard off-screen, parping tunelessly into a sax while the downstairs neighbour bangs on the floor.
This sax is very important to me, Mo. This is an extension of my creative personality.
She's got a bit of a Mary the Punk from EastEnders vibe. Edward Scissorhands hair, Steptoe and Son wrist warmers, and earrings you could beat a man to death with. This is a show firmly placed in Thatcher's Britain, with its protagonist stuck 17 floors up a tower block, and that trope of someone who's making a career out of being on the dole.
You can't guilt trip me, Mo. I'm one of the long-term unemployed.
Oddly, such a once persistent archetype is almost entirely gone today, but I guess it'd be hard to wring laughs out of someone being forced to live on £12 a month because they were 5 minutes late for a DWP meeting, or a mother taking her starving children to the local food bank where the queue was a mile long. The plot is, Moe's got an interview at the DHSS, but is adamant she already has a job, that of artist and musician. Bloody shirker. Get a real job. By the way, have I told you about my Patreon? Incidentally, the DHSS always makes me remember getting told off by my mum as a kid for quoting Joey Boswell from the sitcom Bread, another show based around claiming benefits. Passing by the local job centre, I said, "There's the dickhead social sanitarium." She'd have been well within her rights to clip my ear right off my head. Not for swearing, but for watching fucking Bread. Anyway, as Jude's in no hurry to become a capitalist wage slave, they're on her back for not looking for work. Or as her review officer puts it,
"Now, my job is to make sure that our clients are barking up the right tree. Or in your case, whether you're barking up any tree. Or even whether you can bark at all."
they threaten to stop her money, so she tells them Moe's her invalid sister, and she can't go job hunting as she's looking after her 24/7. Christ, forget your flip phones and shaking hands with strangers. There's a historical document of different times, claiming to be a carer to get more money. As we cut back from a break, she's all ready to scam. But where did she get a walking frame and a grim armchair commode at such short notice? Is the old bloke downstairs having to take his dumps in a fruit bowl? Mo returns home early, having lost her job when the factory closed down, robbing us the sight of a load of glass eyes on a conveyor belt. So now it's a vague attempt at farce, Jude having to get rid of Mo before the assessor arrives. But shouldn't she be there? Isn't that the point?
Tell him I don't live here.
The doorbell goes, but it turns out to be their new neighbour, played by Ray Burdis from Operation Good Guys. When the bloke does show up, the soundtrack switches to this weirdly seductive 1940s film noir. Who's behind the door? Jessica Rabbit. Again, it's all that bad farce you see in lots of shite sitcoms by writers who think misunderstandings are inherently funny. The assessor thinks the neighbour lives there, which breaches the rules on cohabitation, Then the neighbour's dad shows up, and Mo's due home any minute. Oh God, what a mix-up. Your benefits chap searches the rooms for evidence the neighbour's living there and finds a bra, in a flat where 2 women live, mind, and jumps to this conclusion.
But cohabitation is cohabitation, even if it's with a transvestite.
Who's a transvestite? Him or me?
Hey, look.
Imagine if someone got the wrong end of the stick. That's always funny, isn't it?
My time is very precious.
So's mine, mate, and yet I'm sifting through this rubbish for nominally interesting bollocks. Like the weird way this old man sells being poked lightly on the hand.
Hello.
Hello.
His attempt to stall her comes off particularly bad in 2020.
Hey, what's the matter? Don't you like me?
I don't know ya.
I'll tell you what, I've got a bottle upstairs in the flat. You
But why don't you just pick
It just goes the way of every sketch I put on with my mates in school, with improvised play fighting. Only there's no teacher to start clapping and lead them off stage. Just a TV channel that let this go out on air, into people's homes. Honestly, the only joy to be had in the whole endeavour is this bit.
Yes, but you'll be hearing from us, Miss Bedford.
Because it reminded me of this.
What is the matter now?
Mr. Bedford, I've heard noises.
But check this for a show-ending gag.
What's going to happen when I sign on? Oh, don't worry, Mo. I'll think of something. That's what I'm afraid of.
Imagine sending people home on that. When people talk about 1984 as a shorthand for helpless, crushing brutalism, it's not Orwell they're talking about. It's dream stuffing. As often happens with these terrible old shows, the most interesting part was the ad break, with an exuberant commercial for the TV Times, plus a public information film with a very suspicious old lady. Hello, what are you hiding in there? Heroin? Anthrax?
The outcome of a sentimental impulse could mean a sentence of death for the animal you love and
Death! That's what.
for you or someone like you. Death in a manner that is beyond description.
Beyond description. Alright, Lovecraft. God, I miss rabies. I wish we had rabies instead of Brexit.
Rabies kills.
It would be unfair to judge solely on a first episode, which are always feet-finding, scene-setting exercises. The only other half hour to have made it online is number 7 of Dream-Stuffing's sole 10-episode series. How confident were Channel 4 to deviate from the classic British 6? If only they'd gone with a different number, like none. To begin the episode entitled Gays and Girls Behaving Badly, Jude staggers in after sunrise, looking like a Geordie LaForge Christmas tree. Her dishevelled nature indicating a wild night. Turns out they were at a party with their neighbour, Richard. A party we don't get to see, but do hear about. Jude's sad because Mo got off with a hunk, while she had to settle for a short bloke called Keith. She reels off a list of aspirational items, which are charmingly twee in the 21st century.
I bet Gary's got a customised escort and a compact disc player and a bamboo soap dish and a ball worker.
Later, the words clock radio will be said in a posh voice, as a yardstick of high-class decadence. Christ, what is she wearing? It's like one of those 3D renderings of what Oscar the Grouch would look like as a human. I'd rather be in a bin than watch this. As far as comic monologues go, this one about a guinea pig isn't exactly Alan Bennett, is it?
He had one in a cage in his bedroom, running its little heart out on one of them wheels.
Oh, Jude, you should have got up and come home.
I wanted to. Every time I closed my eyes, my head went round and round. And every time I opened my eyes, the guinea pig went round and round. And Keith couldn't get his shoe off, so he was going round and round too.
It's not even the worst joke in the scene.
So how was Gary?
quite nice, really.
Bit like custard. Custard?
Thick dish.
Days later, she calls round the neighbour to ask if he fancies a drink, and he sings her that Craig David song to cheer her up.
Monday it's lust, Wednesday it's love, Friday is left.
You're as bad as Mo.
Note that Burdis said he. Yes, he is a gay man, and surprisingly for television of the time, not mincing about or limp-wristed, giving the glad eye to anything in trousers. Granted, you might expect Channel 4 to be a bit more right on, but around this time, sitcom gays were almost always the punchline, like in Jim Davidson's sitcom from the previous year.
I'm 21, single, incredibly beautiful, and normal. And I've been stood up by a poof.
There's a really naff 80s description here of sex.
It's love and beauty you wanted, you shouldn't have went to Ron's party. Because everyone else there was after a quick 10 minutes of between the sheets aerobic exercises.
Ugh, almost as bad as bonking. Regarding Burdis, was this character written by a gay man?
Look, to straight people, sex is an achievement. To me, it's a hobby. And that's the way it should be, because it's not the most important thing in a relationship.
Or by Tish from the League of Gentlemen?
I'm so jealous of you gay guys. You all sleep with each other and there's no consequences.
What about this outfit? Has she joined the Night's Watch? And this, a Mad Hatter cosplay. Jealous because of Mo's rich new boyfriend, she invites Short King Keith round for dinner. Oh, thank God, it's the great Perry Benson. And has she got a tea bag for an earring? I'm a big fan of individual audience reactions. So listen out for the brilliant, oh dear, when Keith slips on the sofa, followed by a big honking chuckle. She puts some mood music on, the funeral march, known to wrestling fans as the basis for The Undertaker's theme. Wish he'd come in and tombstone my screen so I didn't have to watch. With old footage, sometimes the very concept of fashion gets exposed as the most knob-out naked emperor there is. It's a language we in the future will never be able to speak. We've seen all manner of wacky outfits on Jude, with nobody batting an eyelid. But to the people of 1984, what's really hilarious is Keith's jumper. Of course, that era had a slightly looser definition of consent, and multiple scenes of Keith attacking Jude have the audience losing their minds with amusement.
Please leave me alone. Oh, come on, babe. You know you like it. You don't like it.
Jude's had more costume changes than Elton John. What's this ensemble? One of the Nasty Boys. Though they're in an interracial flat share, if that's a thing, race hasn't come up much, barring this exchange in episode 1, where Jude tells Mo how lucky she is to have dark skin.
Oh, yeah. Your parents gave you a natural advantage. That means you don't have to worry about your street cred. That's a relief.
But it crops up here, when Mo tells the story of how her white mother and black father met, which is pretty bleak.
Love and passion's all right in Jackie, but when me mum found it, it lasted one night and she's been trying to scrub it off me ever since.
Anyway, it turns out that her Gary is the same bloke Burdis is getting ready for a date with, as I must rescind what I said about gay men not being the punchline.
Gary? Gary?
Gary? Yeah, he's meant to be meeting me down the old ship. It's not going to be late, is it? Man, you just can't rely on him.
You certainly can't.
In the end, everyone's miserable, apart from Jude.
You do realise that indirectly you've been to bed with each other.
These days we call that Eskimo Brothers. There's a final fuck-awful gag as Keith shows up for another chance.
You said you like classical music.
Did I?
Well, I've got these 2 tickets for this orchestra, see? They're playing that stuff that you like, chopping.
But if you think episode 1's sign-off was bad, look at this.
Oh, well, Shall we?
Shall we what?
Go for a drink. What do you think I meant? Come on.
Shall we? Sex? With my big gay Willie? Caroline Quentin was listed in the opening credits, but the 3 episodes she featured in have yet to surface, outside of the horrible past. Dream Stuffing was reviled by critics and audiences alike, and hasn't been shown in over 35 years. You're about as likely to see repeats of it as you are Bud Dwyer's press conference. Neither of the leads went on to do much screen work, though in 2007, Moe starred in the intriguingly titled Menopause the Musical with Sue Pollard. Come on, if Cats can make it to the big screen, why not this? As only 2 episodes have made their way online, both unbelievably wretched, Dream Stuffing's sole mark on popular culture, besides a footnote as one of the biggest poos in the toilet of bad comedy, is the theme song. It's perhaps the finest meeting of music and sitcom since that Only Fools and Horses rap, which is a real thing that exists.
My name is Ginger, I'm getting so much stick cause of my banger. I need to get rid of it. If you's a drinker, then get drunk, I insist. If